So I've gotten a few comments and messages sent my way concerning this news story, and I just wanted to touch on it a bit here because we've talked about things like this in the past with people buying into companies, investing in companies. Recently, the Saudi Arabian crown prince, with the fund that he used or he's involved in, like eating up S&K type of thing, right? And now we have Saudi Arabia's public investment fund purchasing up a 5% stake in Nintendo. And I've seen a few people kind of freaking out a little bit, but I don't really think there's anything to worry about here. Now, if you understand how buying foreign stocks in Saudi Arabia works, let me know because I've been trying to dig into this for the past hour or so, trying to find as much information as I can. I can't find like how that actually works. Like, do they get voting rights with their 5% that they purchase type of thing? It's like in the US, if you buy into like certain foreign companies, sometimes it's institutional ownership through a management company. And then like the Japanese stocks, like one for one, they don't equal the same type of thing. So your percentage, even if it's like, oh, I'm going to buy 100 like shares, it may not actually be 100 shares. It may be like a fraction of that type of thing. Like I'm not completely like thorough in the knowledge and how that works, but I know in the US it can be a little weird with that. So I don't know in Saudi Arabia how that works, if they have voting rights or not. But regardless, if they do, like it's not even that big a deal because there's still 95% other owners, right? That type of thing. And the one thing to note here is that the Saudi Arabian fund here that they used to purchase the stake, they specifically stated that it was made for investment purposes only. And that's according to a filing to the Japan's finance ministry, right? That's the same reason they gave for their, like buying shares of Capcom and Nexon as well. So that's just for an investment. Like they're trying to diversify type of thing. The only real concern that I would think here with any kind of percentage, any company buying anything more than a fraction of a percent of Nintendo, is that, I've been reading as well that, ever since Iwata passed away and, was no longer involved in Nintendo, that the vibe at Nintendo changed. Like it became a company that was controlled by the shareholders now. Like it's just to please the shareholders. And if you dig into Iwata's history, like there was a time where things weren't going too well for Nintendo stocks, and like he cut his salary in half and urged other executives to do the same. Like, hey, take a pay cut. Like, and they refused to lay off staff because they thought, and exactly what it would have done is that morale would have went down, that kind of thing. So he was like the last of like Nintendo in the way that they think. Now it seems more like, yeah, it is about the shareholders. So there's always that to be concerned with. But for some people looking at like, okay, Saudi Arabia is huge in the gaming world. Like they have a very large, gaming revenue in their country. And there's a lot of money there and a lot of people who really love gaming. I have a lot of people on my channel who are, from Saudi Arabia, from that part of the world, who've dropped comments that I've had conversations with in the past, kind of explaining like, hey, we have a similar history in the sense in regards to like retro gaming and video games in general. Like they grew up with some of the same stuff we did. Maybe certain things were more popular over there than they were in other parts of the world. It's just the way it is. But they have like this love and passion for gaming, just like most of us do. So, it is what it is. They're just diversifying the funds that they, are putting into their investments anyway, right? And I really don't necessarily think anything will change with that, because if it's already like, if it's true that Nintendo just is there to please the shareholders, which I've seen where it's been stated that people on the inside or people who have dealt with Nintendo in the past have stated like Nintendo and their shareholders, like it's just all focused on like properties that they know will sell. Like we're not going to like go outside of our comfort zones because we want to please those shareholders. And is that something they're going to continue to do? Probably. Like, I mean, in a business sense, like you want to make money and you want your shareholders to be pleased, right? But you got to make, decisions where the consumer is happy as well. And I do see a lot of like all over the place, all over your face with people talking about Nintendo. Like either they just hate what they're doing, or they're just indifferent, or they love what Nintendo's doing. But I see more criticisms with certain things, with the push towards mobile gaming and microtransactions on that end of things, and then the subscription services for Nintendo Switch and all that. And it's all ways to bring in money to please those shareholders, right? And they will continue to want to please every shareholder, regardless if they're from Saudi Arabia or not. So I really don't necessarily see anything changing here. Like that's all it is like these guys in Saudi Arabia with the investments and the public funds and all this stuff, investing into esports teams, video game companies, that kind of thing, bringing in more money. It's just the way it is. I mean, when you start digging into like who owns what, like, with Nintendo, I find it interesting because, like I said, I was trying to dig more into this, like the shares and how that all works. And then you see like these owners of like stockholders anyway, that are like their institutional ownership essentially, or different management firms and banks and all that kind of thing. And you look at the shares owned versus the percentage stake and all that kind of stuff. Like, and then you look at Nintendo's actual numbers for the companies in Nintendo who own, shares in Nintendo, and how the percentages are different. And it just makes me wonder, how does this all work in Saudi Arabia with their 5%? Like, how many shares do they actually own, type of thing. But I guess it's kind of getting a little off track, I guess. But yeah, I find it interesting. Who knows? Like all these different companies who have stock in Nintendo, like they're not individuals listed here. Like institutional ownership will be like a bank with tons of different people who've all invested, type of thing. And they get paid out dividends and whatnot. Like I believe Nintendo pays out dividends twice a year, and maybe that's all the Saudi Arabian public investment fund is worried about. I don't know, but it really seems like some people might be freaking out for no reason, because does it really change anything if Nintendo's like frame of mind already is like just please the shareholders? And what do shareholders care about? They care about making money. They don't care about like what the actual games are. They just care that the games that you're producing and you're putting out there, and the products you're putting out there, are going to bring in the most revenue, right? Because then they make more money. Their shares go up, type of thing. And I think that's all that is going to be with the Saudi Arabians investment. Like, I don't think they're going to be like banging down the door like, Nintendo, we need you to change this, type of thing. And realistically, having 5% doesn't really give you that kind of right anyway. It's not a majority, share or, stake in the company, type of thing. It's not like you can go, even if you had like $1 million and you put it into Walmart, like you can't just walk into Walmart and start firing people for like, giving you a little side eye or mean mugging you, type of thing. You can't go around firing people just because you have shares in a company. Doesn't give you that kind of power, dude. It just doesn't. So I don't think there's too much to worry about. Let me know what you guys think down below. Really do appreciate every single one of you guys. Bye.